Hey, I'm Callie. Thanks so much for watching this video. The teaching that you're about to hear is based on the Bible, and we believe that it's going to be helpful to you as you seek answers to tough questions about Jesus and religion. We'd love for you to text us if you need someone to talk to, or if you just want to have a deeper conversation about the questions that you're having. And again, thanks for watching. We're praying for you, and we hope that this video will be an encouragement to you on your spiritual journey.
Jim Carrey, actor, comedian, main star of the best movie of all time, Dumb and Dumber. He said a few years ago in a Hollywood Reporter interview, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they've ever wanted to do so that they can see that it's not the answer." I know there's a part of my heart that wants to put that to the test to see, in fact, if I could attain wealth and popularity and fame and see, in fact, that it does satisfy me, because, in fact, who wouldn't? But he's hinting at something. He's telling us something that more will not satisfy us. Having been in debt myself over the years and thinking about through where did that debt come from and how did I get there with credit cards and car loans, a significant part of it was wanting to live at a level, a lifestyle that my means could not support. Wanting to look more like my affluent neighbor or friend who had a nicer vehicle, who had better clothes or a nice house that I didn't have, and because of credit cards, I could actually pretend to be there. But it didn't satisfy me, in fact, left me more miserable. Perhaps you know that as well. I was looking at a report, and in the state of Indiana, our state, the average household has $4,651 in credit card debt. Another thing, a federal consumer survey done by the government showed that from our working years through up until retirement, from 20 to 65, that in fact, the more money you make, the higher annual income, and the older you get, it actually means the higher your debt is. You would think that the more money you make, the less debt you would have, the more financial freedom you would have. But in fact, it showed that from real data that actually the older people got and the more money they made, it only increased the amount of average debt that they kept around them. Now, I'm sharing these facts about debt because more does not satisfy us, though our hearts would like to believe it. I was listening to a pastor in Dallas, Texas. He was talking about where he lives, and he said this. He said, "Our city is filled with $50,000 millionaires." In other words, what he meant was people who made average incomes but lived as if they were celebrities. Satan wants us to believe that the answer to our soul's deep longing for fulfillment, the satisfaction we crave at just a gut level from so early on in our life, and it's really the universal experience, that he would have us believe that that's going to be attained by having what our friend has who is wealthier than us. He wants us to believe that more is what's missing in our life. So Jesus speaks to this, and I want to share this with you because if you're watching, perhaps you've either been piqued by the title or you feel this too, like I do, like all of us do, and that's that more material, more stuff, more fame, more recognition, more success will satisfy this craving in my soul that I can't explain where it comes from. I just know it's there. And I think that the pursuit, that this newer car, this better house, this promotion, this toy will satisfy that. Jesus speaks to that directly and indirectly. He says that if anyone would come after me, if anyone would follow him, they must take up their cross, deny themselves, and follow. And then he says these words, "For whoever would save his life must lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." And then he asks us a question that there's really almost no answer to. "For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and yet forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul?" In other words, we undervalue our souls and we overvalue material things. When I was in college, I got a debit card for the first time. And for the first time, I had been making money for a few years, but for the first time, I could buy things online. And this just unlocked a world of possibilities for me, because no longer was I restricted to brick and mortar stores. Now I could get on eBay. And so I remember when I got this with this debit card, I just surfed eBay and thought of the weirdest things that I could find. And now I had the power to buy them. In fact, I really did do this in my college dorm room. I sat down with a sticky notepad and it looked just like this. And what I did was I made a list of things that I could think of. Things that I didn't have but that I wanted. And there was no real rhyme or reason. A rare CD, a rare album from a band I really liked, I bought that. Beard trimmer for some reason. I really couldn't grow much of a beard, but I wanted beard trimmer, so I bought those. Sales at J. Crew, I'd buy clothes from online stores. I was really into, and still am, Saved by the Bell, and so I found a Bayside Tigers gym shirt that they used to wear in the show. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I bought that and wore that. An iPod, a mini disc player. I mean, I bought all these different things that I could think about, and by the time I would go through, and I like to cross off on lists, I would cross off on the list, and by the time I finished that first sticky notepad, guess what? I had already filled up a second sticky note with more items that I wanted. And I did this, filled up sticky notepads, crossed them off, only to fill up more sticky notes until I overdrafted on my checking account 3 times in 1 week and had to ask my college roommate if I could have $60 so that I would be at zero. You might not have done that to that extent, but maybe you've overdrafted, maybe you're in debt, maybe you've been pursuing more, maybe you have the means to get whatever you want, and you can attest to, like Jim Carrey did, that it hasn't brought you any more satisfaction, certainly not lasting satisfaction. Satan wants us to hold our souls as cheap and the things of this world as valuable. In fact, though, Jesus tells us that the more stuff we have, the more vulnerable we become to that lie, that more will make me satisfied. Jesus has the truth. Fulfillment does not come from gaining, but from losing. If anybody wants to find their life, they must first lose it. Gaining comes first by losing. The reality is that hell will be full of people who have gained the whole world, but they forfeited their soul. King Solomon was king of Israel back in the day, and he was known world round. The whole known world knew him because of his great wealth, his great wisdom. And he had what Jim Carrey didn't have, and that was unlimited resources. So he could pursue everything, and he did it. He pursued women and pleasure. He pursued fame and notoriety through buildings and architecture and popularity. He pursued pleasure through food and money. Anything he wanted, he bought, and he never ran out of money. And he wrote a book about it. And what he said at the end of all that was that it was meaningless, that it didn't satisfy him. And he says this is Ecclesiastes 3:11. He speaks to this when he says that we are made with a part of us that is longing for something eternal, that God has placed in us this desire for the eternal. And so it stands to reason that if you try to fill an eternal hole with something temporary, it cannot satisfy. Temporary cannot satisfy the eternal. More will not make us satisfied. Only God can satisfy this longing which he has put into us, which is for himself. So we must first lose our life if we're to gain it. And what we need more of is not temporary matters, but more eternal matters. We need more of God in our life. That's what brings real satisfaction. So I hope that as we finish today, if you watch this video, that if your heart is wrestling with that knowledge, that you've tried it, perhaps you're just in debt. That's just one way that we can know that we are striving for something that our hearts can't be satisfied. Or you've gotten everything you ever wanted, and it still hasn't brought you any more peace in your life. You've believed the lie, as have I, that more will satisfy. If that's you, I'd like you just to consider doing 2 things as you leave, and that's to pray. Pray and ask God 2 things. Pray and ask God that he would help you hold your soul as the most valuable thing in your life, that if there was a dollar sign, a tag price to it, it just couldn't put a dollar amount on, that you would hold your soul as more valuable than your stuff. And second thing, that you would ask him to help you to believe, to truly believe that the way to satisfaction and fulfillment is by losing, not gaining, is by losing, dying to yourself and gaining God. So I hope that you would ask him, pray those things in sincerity. Thank you for checking out this video today, and God bless you.
Thanks again for watching this teaching. We hope that God spoke to you today through this video and helped answer any questions that you may have had. Again, feel free to text us if you would like to talk more about what you heard, or if there's any way that we might be able to help you. You can also find more videos and more resources at gracelandchurch.online. And if you feel that you've been blessed by these videos, please consider donating so that we can continue sharing more content to more people. And remember to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more answers to tough questions. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you'll join us again soon.